Fitzpatrick.
Mr Deputy Speaker, allow me to express my appreciation at being called to speak in this debate and in so doing make my first contribution in this House. My constituency of Poplar and Canning Town is situated in East London, as is obviously betrayed by my classic Cockney accent. The River Thames forms its southern boundary, and it is bounded by Shadwell in the west and North Woolwich in the east, and is surrounded by the constituencies of East Ham, West Ham, of which more later, and Bethnal Green and Bow. Poplar in Canning Town is the new creation of the Boundary Commission, and for the first time in history a parliamentary constituency crosses the age-old boundary between Middlesex and Essex by covering an area separated by the River Lee. My immediate predecessors were Mildred Gordon and Nigel Spearing, who had over 30 years parliamentary service between them, and who, although having distinctly different styles, were acknowledged as both being assiduous representatives on behalf of their constituents and doughty fighters for the causes they held dear. I will do well to become as highly regarded as a parliamentary performer and to be thought of with as much affection by my constituents as they were. I should also say that they were a source of great assistance to me in preparing for the general election, and I thank them for that also. Other predecessors include Keir Hardie, George Lansbury, Elwyn Jones, Ian McAdoo and Clement Attlee, to name a few. And the constituency has a history of industrial and community activity which reads like a history of the labour movement, stretching back further than a century, certainly beyond the Great Dock Strike of 1889. The area was the most heavily bombed during the Blitz, but more recently, subsequent to the closure of the docks in London, it has seen the arrival of the London Docklands Development Corporation, which has heralded a new era. The LDDC, it has to be said, was not wholly welcome because of its non-elected basis, and even today still arouses an element of frustration and anger. But I do think it appropriate to say that it has laid the foundations for the future, and many people who have worked for the LDDC have been driven by the highest motives, and their achievements are certainly very visible. With all respect to my honourable and right honourable friends elsewhere in the capital, East London in general, and Poplar and Canning Town in particular, in my view, hold the key to the future of London. The elected councillors and officers of the London boroughs of Tower Hamlets and Newham are working hard to ensure this. Voluntary and community groups across the constituency, backed by our well-known local newspapers, the Newham Recorder and the East London Advertiser, are also doing all they can to participate in this. We have many famous organisations and buildings in Poplar and Canning Town, including Billingsgate Fish Market with its 1,000-year history, having relocated to the Isle of Dogs in 1982, Canary Wharf with its tower at 1 Canada Square, being a symbol of the new brave London, and around half of what was Fleet Street now works there. A more imaginative home for the Strategic Authority for London and the new Mayor would be hard to find outside Docklands or indeed Canary Wharf itself. In East London, we will have the Stratford International Railway Link and the Jubilee Line extension, and we already have the bus and tube networks, Docklands Light Railway and the city airports. In essence, the basic transport infrastructure to support the regeneration which is so needed, because as I'm sure the House knows, in Poplar and Canning Town we also have levels of poverty, overcrowding and unemployment as serious as anywhere in the United Kingdom. East London, which is the gateway to Europe, needs the investment promised by this new Labour government, and the business community and the city are ready to respond and indeed have been investing. Labour swept to power across East London, and in acknowledging the multifarious talent of my many successful colleagues, I wish to pay tribute to the professional and the voluntary staff of the Greater London Labour Party under the guidance of Mr Terry Ashton. In my previous occupation as a firefighter, mostly at Battersea Fire Station, a certain level of physical and mental fitness was necessary. The sporting opportunities afforded to firefighters by the London Fire Brigade contributed to maintaining that fitness and to building the team spirit so important in that profession. I'm glad to say that since entering Parliament, I have managed to continue the link between sport and work by being selected for the football team of parliamentarians, as was my honourable friend, the member for Filton and Heston, which played the press lobby on Wednesday. I know the term left wing is considered by some as an anachronism in New Labour, so it may have been that our manager for the match, the honourable member for Bradford South, selected me for that position on the field, as I was a former lay official of the Fire Brigades Union. Whilst on the subject of football, during a debate on sport, I feel I should declare an interest in that. I'm a West Ham season ticket holder. And I should say that if the honourable member for Bassetlaw doesn't feel that he's getting value for money, and I can sympathise with him given the price he announced he's paying for his season ticket, there's always the Trades Disputes Act available to people in Sheffield. West Ham United Football Club is an institution of which we are rightly proud in East London, but I hasten to add for clarification, so as not to cause any unfortunate association for my honourable friend, the member for West Ham, whose appointment as Minister for Sport was welcomed so warmly, I hasten to add that Upton Park, the Bow Lane ground, the home of West Ham, is actually in the constituency of the honourable member for East Ham, not West Ham. The concept of sport for all is about everyone having access to the physical, social and psychological benefits of sport. It's about whether the government's involvement in sport encourages not just competitiveness but community, not just elitism but social engagement. It's also about whether government or lottery funds go to the disabled, the elderly and the isolated, or only to the elite band of prospective medal winners. Millions of people are included under the banner Sport for All. When it came to the proposed Academy of Sport, the former honourable member for Harwich favoured of an academy which would have been a centre of excellence on Australian lines. I won't comment on the present test series. I know that I wouldn't pass the Tebbit cricket test, as I have to confess that I do not always support an English win. There are a number of charities which have been occasional beneficiaries of Scottish defeats. There were those who appeared previously to work to inhibit the Sports Council from influencing the development and management of the proposed British Academy. And in May last year, the Right Honourable Member for Copeland challenged the previous government on their proposals for the Academy, saying it was another sad indication of the government's failure to listen when last year it announced it wanted to see a single large academy for sport, despite the fact that this is not what British sport wants. He went on to say, I believe government must provide a framework for sporting excellence which is open to all. He favoured a single headquarters with an enhanced regional network encouraging grassroots participation. GPs, social services, counsellors in the field of psychiatry should all be involved in referring people to local gyms, dance classes and other recreational facilities so that each and every one of us can enjoy the benefits of exercise. There are the interpersonal and recreational benefits that come from actual participation in sport and the very real mental and physical benefits that result from our activities in this field. If entered into, in the true spirit of sport, active participation in and the following of sport as a fan or supporter can help transcend differences of race, gender, class and physical ability. It can afford enjoyment, hope and a sense of achievement. It can help develop a sense of responsibility, perseverance and fair play. We are beginning to build a society based upon these values, and sport for all can be a building block of that society.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Can I first of all say how much I welcome the remarks that have just come from the new member, the Poplar and Canning Town. I had to write it down because I wasn't quite sure. I have driven through it, but next time I will certainly stop, having now found out the delights of that place, and especially that it has Billingsgate Market in it, which I've never been to, and I'd like to see it. So may I congratulate him. We're having an excellent debate today on sport, and I, as a member who've returned to the House, after a 5-year absence,